And welcome to Week 7's live stream for Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your fill-in Sunday talk around guy, host, Dan Theory at Theory BFFs, where you can find me. You can find the show at Beerfield Fantasy Football on Twitter, Instagram, and on tap. Beerfield Fantasy Football on Facebook. Hopper is doing some work stuff right now, so he is not able to attend this Sunday live stream. So I'm here by myself giving you guys that very fun morning of Dan Theory only. All right, so we're going to jump into the ins and outs here before we start jumping into your guys' questions. Packers wide receivers MVS and John Allison are both active today, despite reports of them all week being very, very questionable. This kind of kills the Alan Lazard dream, as he probably won't see very high snaps. Pretty much killing him in DFS. You can't play him in redrafts. As for these two, it just depends on how healthy they are. That's going to be the tough part. They could just throw him out there. I'm not liking it. As for newly required receivers, Zay Jones for the Raiders, he's inactive today. David Johnston is active, so throw him in your lineups. As for Washington, there's no Josh Norman against the 49ers to go along with Chris Thompson and Vernon Davis. Should just help your Dante Pettis and Marquise Goodwin, I guess, bomb place. Not going to really throw him out there and trust him, but another banged-up player for Washington. Dolphins are without their best cover corner, Xavier Howard. He's out today. Just not great all around. John Brown's been banged up, but he's also playing today. So just more for the Josh Allen, John Brown stacks there in DFS. Christian Kirk is also inactive today. 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuels is inactive. Malcolm Brown, Rams backup running back, has been ruled out, paving the way for Darrell Henderson or John Brown to take some snaps. And then Adam Schefter confirmed Mitchell Trubisky will play this week against the Saints, but just keep in mind that it is a 3 o'clock game. Their inactive list won't be due until 1:30 p.m., just in case if you're looking for true confirmation. And then Ian Rappaport reports that Cowboys wide receivers Randall Cobb and Amari Cooper are expected to play tonight. Again, theirs isn't due until 5:30 or until about 6, I think it's 6:10 or something like that, 6 o'clock for their confirmation for those guys playing tonight. Dede Westbrook, Jacksonville wide receiver, is active today. And then Jags starting tight end Jeff Swaim is inactive, paving the way for rookie tight end Josh Oliver to make his first career start. And then, of course, Barkley, Ingram are both active as expected, put it in full practice reports. All right, going into the questions here. Good morning, everybody else. Jerry, Jack, Alex. Jerry's half-point PPR league, Singletary, McLaurin, AP, or Burkhead. Not playing McLaurin in that ridiculous matchup against San Francisco. Not trusting Burkhead. I haven't seen reports on him going to be playing or not. Same thing goes for AP against San Francisco, so it really comes down to Devin Singletary. He did put in a full practice. He is playing today. Expect to see what he would normally get before injury, and that's around 10 to 13 touches. If he's as efficient as he's been, and with a great matchup against Miami, he's got a great chance to give yourself a very good RB2 week. Jack's question: Auden Tate, Philip Dorsett, or Jamison Crowder this week in PPR. For me, this really comes between Tate and Crowder. If it's a full-point PPR, Jack, I would go Crowder this week against what should be a tough matchup against New England, but he's gotten 26 targets with Sam Darnold as his quarterback, and there's small 2-game sample size, so I do love his floor. Tate on paper looks like a terrible matchup, but with Jacksonville's defensive backfield pretty either traded away or banged up, I'm fine with either of them. If his full point is Crowder, if his half point is Tate for me. Alex question: how worried are you about this game that could have weather? Speaking of weather, there's only 2 games that should have expected problems this week. Washington and 49ers matchup. There's rain in that. There's expected rain. I didn't see a lot. And then winds are around 11 miles an hour, which isn't a true concern. You're more concerned when gusts reach around 15 to 20. And then in the Ravens and Seahawks matchup, there's light rain. Those are the only rain problems I've seen so far. A Nash, pick 2 PPR, Aaron Jones, T.Y. Hilton, or Josh Jacobs. Man, Hopper at Aaron Jones is one of his sits of the week. Oakland's been actually pretty good against running backs this year outside of Dalvin Cook's blow-up game. I don't think a running back's gone ham against Oakland this year. But so I have no issue going with T.Y. and Josh Jacobs here. I like Jones, but he's extremely touchdown dependent. And outside of his one blow-up game against Dallas and then a good game against Minnesota in week 2, he's been really inefficient. Jamal Williams will always take snaps and touches away from him. So I would go with T.Y. and Josh Jacobs in that matchup, Nash. And Alex for Alex again, halfway PPR, pick 2. MVS, Miles Sanders, and Latavius Murray. It's Miles Sanders for sure, and then it's really a toss-up between Latavius and MVS. There's been no negative reports on where MVS is. He's still the number 1 receiver with Devontae Adams out. While Latavius gets he'll get a chance to see the bulk of the running back touches. They do get a difficult matchup against the Bears. Reports from week 5 when the Bears went to London, they got there, I think, on that Friday, so they were gassed, jet-lagged, everything else. So the defense itself just played like shit, just looked off. Plus, it's London. Things seems to be backwards when teams play in London. So I would go with MVS and Miles Sanders. I'm not super high on Latavius Murray this week. I think he seems like just one of those. He's going to get a bunch of volume. He should go off. And he could get a touchdown. He could fall in. The Bears don't have Akeem Nicks, but I believe they got back their backup nose tackle. One thing the Bears do have is ridiculous depth on defense. So we'll keep this rolling. Keep Buffalo's D for the next 5 weeks straight. You're definitely playing them today. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. Bills have always had a great defense, and they just get their super juicy matchup this week against Miami. As for their next ones, I don't know if I want to play them against Philadelphia, even though it's at home. You're definitely playing them against Washington. You can play them against we can definitely play them against the Browns, just given Baker's tendencies to throw interceptions and take sacks. You're going to play him in week, was that be week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 against the Dolphins again, too. So, yeah, there's 4 of those 5 matchups I'm fine with. Philadelphia is a bit more concerning. That offense can put up a bunch of points. But it's in Buffalo, so it's not the worst. For Dylan's question, 6-point passing touchdowns, Goff or Allen, half-point PPR, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery. Miles Sanders over Montgomery. That's I guess can be a hot take. As for Goff and Allen, they both have tremendous matchups. I think Allen's floor. I think both their floors are insane this week. 6-point pass touchdown really doesn't move the needle for me as much. Josh Allen could throw 3 touchdowns this week, just given how bad Miami's defense is. You don't need to have a ridiculously good, receiving core to go off against this secondary who's already been banged up. You see Baltimore's receiving core in week 1, and Goff's been struggling. I guess I go with Josh Allen, but again, it's a good problem to have. You might be a little pissed off if one outscores the other, but they should both give you a high floor game with a decent chance of reaching their ceiling. Jerry's question, would you play Devin Singletary or Latavius Murray over Kerryon Johnson this week? I would play either over Kerryon. I like Singletary's matchup. I do. And yes, Both both Hopper and I were were big downers on Devin Singletary. We've retracted that a little bit. He's looked good this year. He doesn't get the snaps though. If the Lions decide to attack the Vikings with the receiver or with their running backs in the passing game, Kerryon could give you a decent floor game. We haven't seen that this week. They showed it a little bit last week when they came off their bye week against the Packers. I'm still playing Kerryon just given his touches. I know he was also one of Hopper's sits. But I I'm not I'm definitely not trusting Tavis Murray against the Bears. And then I have to see Devin Singletary's touches rise for me to want to jump over somebody that's going to likely see 20 plus touches. Dylan, you have John Brown. That matters. It doesn't, but there's nothing better than killing your opponent with a QB receiver stack. So I would roll with Josh Allen just because of that. Fifth question again: Carson Wentz and Aaron Rodgers 6-point touchdowns. The Cowboys are expected to be with majority of their defensive starters back. Rodgers is down Adams, but he's got a nice matchup against Oakland. I'm gonna go with Rodgers just because he's only without Adams. If there was no MVS or Geronimo in there, I would even be more cautious about it. But Wentz has got a difficult matchup. Cowboys defense is better, I think, than what people expected. It's a toss up for me though. But I'm leading Rodgers there. Just a couple of other news here, as you guys keep thinking of questions to throw out there and ask. Adam Schefter reports that Patrick Mahomes could return in his 3 weeks, or is expected to turn in 3 weeks, if not sooner. Then he also reported that AJ Green is not expected to return until after the October 29th trade deadline, which isn't surprising. I'm assuming teams out there are trying desperately to pull away AJ Green from Cincinnati, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens within the next week, which is what's supposed to happen. And then because Alvin Kamara has already been ruled out for Week 7, he has not been ruled out for Week 8 against the Cardinals. For those holding on to Kamara and holding their breath, praying that he comes back next week, there's a good chance he could. Those are all the actual notes I've written down. Any ins and outs, any other news that were out there. I guess Jalen Ramsey promised the Rams he won't hold out in 2020, but we'll see if that means anything. Rasheed Mostert is active against the Redskins, giving them their 3-headed running back backfield. It'd be a bit annoying. Just going through the rest of these lists here in Roto World, I don't see a whole lot else to talk about. No, don't do that. Sorry for the sorry for what you're seeing on their stream, guys. Yeah, I'm trying to, but I don't want to have it up there for we're not about that life. This guy's a piece of shit, as you guys can see on there. Stafford or Rivers this week? Oh, boy. Stafford. Both have bad matchups. Rivers has looked really bad, though. He gets he gets Hunter. He'll have Henry again for another week. I need to see it more from him. I'm not the biggest fan of him right now, so I'm rolling with Stafford in what is also a difficult matchup against Minnesota. Well, that's all we got here today, guys. I guess that's it. Good luck in week 7. If you if you feel like you want to, be a piece of shit human being, then by all means be a piece of shit human being, bro. Do you? Good luck to everybody that wants to play. I wish you guys good luck. See ya.